go.
Dan Grider, probable cause, January 7th, 2024. Glad to have you with us tonight in the live chat. Another Sunday evening that we get to spend together. I think I may actually be in a relationship with you. It's starting to look that way. A lot of you regulars check in here every Sunday night, and I appreciate that. We are making a little bit of a difference. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Glad to have you with us, and Happy New Year for 2024. I hope that this one's a little bit better than the last one for you. Who knows? Maybe the last one was okay for you. We did make some progress. We're going to talk about that a little bit going forward here. The point is, these Sunday night videos, we try to keep them only up about 5 or 6 days. That's because all the accident data always happens freshly. So we get rid of what's already happened and we just start over and talk about what's happened most recently. That format has worked fairly good over the last 1 year. I just started doing these Sunday night videos about a year ago, and it's grown. There's almost 2,800 people in the live chat a couple of weeks ago. And then last Sunday night, we were in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to say thanks again to Rob and Crystal, our friends and musicians, engineer buddies up in Nashville that hosted us for that live. That live creation thing that we did is still up on my website. If you go into the tab of live, you can see that. My friend Lee down in Jacksonville, Florida owns a company called Flying Ostrich. He engineered it from Florida and took care of that for us. We had a lot of fun doing it. We had not ever done it before. I will grant you that we had some audio problems with compression and things like that. It's not Rob's fault. It's not anybody's fault. We just didn't know how it was going to all transmit via the internet and how it was all going to come out. But we learned a lot. We learned that we had the capability to bring people on live. If you go back and look at that, we brought one guest on. I had 3 or 4 that we could have brought on, but we weren't sure how it was going to go, so we just elected to try one for last Sunday night. Had a great time, spent New Year's in Nashville, Tennessee, and got to play a lot of music, had a lot of fun, and all worked out really good. So that's over. We're back. It's hard to believe that that was already 1 week ago tonight. But back again here, I got good news for you. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Here is the number of accidents that we've had in the new year. Take a look at this. Yes, that's right. We are batting a big 0 for the year. Now, there was a fatal down in the Caribbean, but that was not a U.S. guy. It was not a U.S. airplane. Was not doesn't fit on our GA USA 91 profile here. So that one doesn't actually count. That was a Blanca Viking that I think the wing fell off of it after takeoff somehow. Had 2 adults and 2 children on board. Very tragic accident. I saw the video of that hitting the water, and it was not good. So anyway, I think we are at a big 0, but let's talk about what the goal is. I'm going to put this up on the screen for you right now. This is where I'm at, and I'm going to show you my cheesy graphics here, but this is actual NTSB data. So let's look at 2019. Total number of general aviation Part 91 accidents in 2019 was 1140. 216 fatals. Our goal was 18. If you do the math, that's actually 18 per month. It's been pretty steady over the last 20 years. 18 to 20 per month has been the steady drumbeat average. We've had it as high as 26 per month. We've never gone below 18. So I think we're on a good trend here. And let's take a look at the next one here. For 2020, 1,007 accidents, 180 fatals, 17 per month. And that number is actually technically adjusted up because of COVID. The actual total number of fatals was actually a little bit less than that, abnormally low, and that's because we weren't doing any flying in the year of COVID. I don't know how to adjust that appropriately, mathematically, and properly. I adjusted it up to put it in line. Who knows if it's right or not, but I don't know that anybody has the actual correct answer. It's a good guess. I think our flying was significantly down, and therefore the total number of fatals were down a little bit below that for the year 2020, the year of COVID. Let's look at 2021. 1,064, that's a real number. 191, that's 16. Our goal was 16 per month, and we hit 15.91, so we made our goal. 2022, 1,110 total accidents, 184 fatals. That's not a disputed number. That's actual NTSB numbers. The goal was 15, and we hit 15.25, so just a little bit high. And then for 2023, 1,021 accidents, 135 fatals, Our goal was 14, which I really thought we had a shot at, but we didn't make it. We ended up at 14.583, and I'll tell you why that is. We had one fatal from the month of August where the guy was in the hospital since his accident in Oklahoma City in August, never got out of the hospital, severely burned. He was in a burn unit, and our apologies. He was a doctor in Oklahoma City, and he just in the last 7 days, he's passed away. So he actually becomes a fatal in the August list that I have to increase that by 1. And then let's take a look at the month of December, and here's how they ended up. Here's how we ended up at 175, and you think that 175 is crazy high. Actually, 175 is crazy low. We've never seen a number down here at 175 before. Take a look at the list. We've never gotten down to 175. So 14.583 is higher than I wanted, but it's actually better than ever. So there's the month of December, and the very last accident of the year was number 175, and that actually happened New Year's Day. I'm going to get into all these accidents and the specifics on them here shortly when we get to it here. This video is going to be probably just slightly longer. I got a whole bunch of stuff. I have to talk about this Japan thing. I don't know about you, but I fly on airlines some. I know you do too. Some of you that follow me and watch these silly YouTube videos are not general aviation people, but you're regular citizens and you fly on the airlines. I've got some important information. I got some stuff to say. I'm not very happy about the whole Japan thing, and I have an opinion on this thing. It's not one that you've heard before, and I'm going to tell you what it is. You know how I am. I don't really hold anything back. I'm just going to tell you exactly what the deal is on Japan. I went out and built a couple videos for this thing. I built actually 2 of them. One of them I went and shot last night. I drove up to Hartsfield International Airport and took my camera, went up there and shot some video. I made I think it's about an 11-minute video illustrating the concept of line up and wait and what that is to explain to you. I want to show you the red stop bars. In the Haneda, Japan crash, the red illuminated stop bars were not working. They were not notable. That's the part of the requirement. You're going to see that in the video when we show that, but I'm going to step through the whole Japan Haneda crash, the Airbus A350 crash that crashed, collided on the runway. This is extremely similar to Tenerife, where the two 747s got together. It is largely, in my opinion, it is largely due to ATC error. Yes, the guy did go out there when he should not have, but he did not intend to. He got led down a path, and that's on us. He had no intention of suicide or murder. He was doing what he thought was proper, and the circumstances led him to believe that he was completely proper. I want you to put yourself in his shoes when I explain this and explain line up and wait, explain all the things that happened on this particular accident. See if you can empathize a little bit. Everybody was quick to say ATC is heroes, the flight attendants were heroes, and the pilot of the Dash-8 was an idiot. I disagree. In fact, I 180 degrees disagree. ATC was idiots. The flight attendants were idiots. The Dash-8 guy was unknowing and unsuspecting, and he made a very simple mistake, and I think that's where it's going to be. I want you to watch these videos when I come up to it, but as you can tell, I'm kind of fired up about the Japan thing because it's coming. It's coming in the U.S. The thing that caused the Tenerife crash was ATC guys in the tower watching TV during a soccer game. They were not paying attention. They were using non-standard phraseology. They were not careful in their jobs. They had two 747s out there, and they couldn't care less. 2 of them collided. They didn't even know that it collided when Tenerife happened. This Japan crash has all the similar markings. That's number 2. This video is labeled Tenerife number 2. We have Tenerife number 3 coming to America very soon, and you'll see when you watch this video that I've got the number of ATC pilot errors out there that I'm seeing and hearing on the radio is astounding. It's only a matter of time. When you see this video that I built just last night, this video is less than 24 hours old that I went and shot it and built it. When you see what I'm talking about here, this whole line up and wait thing just is not proper. And we're going to get into that next. So I'm going to start with a very cheesy video that I built. This has to do with the Aviation Safety Network and a diagram and a transcript that they published. It's still on the Aviation Safety Network. A lot of misinformation on there about the transcript, what really happened. So I made this video to kind of overlay and show. I wanted to overlay the ASN taxi diagram to show what the actual positions were of the actual airplanes. And The truth is that after this accident happened, the Airbus A350 ended up a long ways downfield, but they weren't sure exactly what had happened. The flight attendants, in their culture, they will not evacuate the airplane unless given direct orders to. They sat in that airplane with smoke, and I've got a picture of what's going on inside this airplane. There's a lot of video. There was pure chaos and terror inside that airplane. The evacuation did not start for a long time. This whole thing that you've heard about 90 seconds is pure baloney. The flight attendants would not allow these passengers to get up and get out. All the passengers wanted off that airplane, and the flight attendants would not let them do it, which is crazy. As much as 18 minutes after the accident, before the evacuation was initiated. I don't have the exact time. I think that'll come out eventually, but it was a long time after impact before the flight attendants actually allowed the passengers off the airplane. I'm not liking any portion of that, and I'm going to show you this ASN tape that I built here next. This has to do with the taxi diagram. I'd like to address several inconsistencies in the news. First of all, how crew pulled off flawless evacuation from Plane Inferno is not exactly accurate. Neither is this transcript right here. A lot of stuff on the web is not quite right, including this picture that was on Aviation Safety Network showing the touchdown point of the jet and the depiction on the picture of the dash, which doesn't really matter. But what I've done is I've taken the overlay here and I've showed you exactly what it would look like overlaid on Google Earth. So this is the Aviation Safety Network diagram overlaid on Google Earth just to show where they're showing that it touched down relative to the touchdown boxes, which is very, very early. This jet would not be touching down that early on this runway. I think the jet actually touched down on the mains just before the impact. So you can see this picture here, JAL516 mains touchdown occurred someplace in here, and then the impact shortly after. So if you overlay now Google Earth on top of this, this is actually more closer to where the airplane touched down and the actual size. Notice the size difference between the little tiny Dash-8 and the huge A350. It would have been a monster, and the nose was still probably partially in the air. It sits way up anyway, but the nose was probably still somewhat in the air. Here's a graphic of what it looks like put in motion, overlaid onto Google Earth. So you can see the Airbus tracking center line and the Dash-8 sitting there. It's coming down. It touches down right about here, and then it hits right about here. That's the actual impact point on top of the taxi diagram that's actually still fairly accurate. Next, I'm going to take you up to Atlanta Hartsfield and show you the video that I made from last night. This is actual footage with actual ATC. The concept is LUAW, line up and wait. You can do that. It's okay at some airports, but if you do this, you have to use the proper phraseology. In the case of the Japan crash, this Dash-8 guy was never told to hold short. If you're going to operate on these kind of runways, the instruction has to be hold short of, and you have to get a readback. Roger will hold short of. The instruction to hold short, there has to be these red flashing lights that I'm going to show you in this video that we have in Atlanta that they did not have. Now, the truth is about the airport in Japan, they've got budget problems, they've got political problems. The EMAS, which is the engineering material, was damaged in November. It still hasn't been fixed. The runway lights, the red flashing lights that are supposed to be there to alert a pilot not to go any further, they were not working either. This pilot was told he's number one, and the controller told the landing airplane that to expect one departure prior to his arrival. So the Dash-8 guy had it in his mind to hurry up and go. He's going to go on out there. Now think about this. The Dash-8 guy goes out there and he sits, line up and wait for 45 seconds before he gets hit. Nobody saw him for 45 seconds. The main reason here is the lights. This is a military airplane. It blends in with the runway. It does not have ADS-B. The military is not required to have ADS-B. The landing airplane never saw him, never got a blip because he didn't have ADS-B because military doesn't have that. This airplane sat out there for 45 seconds with no lights on. Now, in America, one of the things I want you to think about is the lights policy. Every airline has a different policy. Some airliners go position and hold, waiting for their instruction to take off. They get line up and wait, and they stay dark out on the runway until they get clear for takeoff. Then they bring on all lights. I have seen everything across the board in terms of policies. It is definitely not standardized. This video that I'm going to show you has to do with lineup and wait, the amount of time that these airliners are going into position and hold, lining up and waiting in position is a lot, and it's totally unnecessary. When you're line up and wait and sitting idle on that runway, you're actually in danger. Not so much at some of these airports that have lots of controllers and a separate landing and takeoff runway. Any airport that has a single runway used for takeoff and landing, that's a huge deal. I fully believe it ought to be completely illegal. Line up and wait at an airport that only has one runway used for takeoff and landing should be completely illegal. Here's the tape. I want you to look for these red flashing lights that I put a yellow box around so you can see how they have them here in Atlanta. Here's some shocking things that I found just in one very quick visit to Atlanta Hartsfield Airport here last night. So we joined this scene. This is Atlanta last night on Saturday night, just 24 hours ago right now. The airplane you're about to see is an Airbus A350-900, just like the one from Japan. Here's first communication.
Delta 319 Heavy, runway 27 right, Lima Alpha, line up and wait.
So the controller gave them line up and wait, 27 right.
Delta 319 Heavy, runway 27 right, Lima Alpha, line up and wait.
Now for a second time, line up and wait to the Airbus. There is nobody in the cockpit that's monitoring, and they've got a communication problem going on. Their aircraft is in motion, and they're not able to be communicated with. That's the second call to the Airbus. This is not uncommon. This happens all the time. So I'm going to step through this play-by-play here. That is an Airbus A350-900. Also in the picture here is a Southwest. We're going to look at the amount of time that the Southwest sits on the runway, line up and wait. Now the controller is needing that airplane to read back their line up and wait instructions, and they're about to recheck on now.
Tower Delta 319 Heavy is with you. Delta 319 Heavy, runway 27 right, Lima Alpha, line up and wait. Line up and wait, 27 right at Lima Alpha. Sorry about that, Delta 319 Heavy. Delta 319 Heavy, no problem.
Note to crews, accidents and little things like that do happen. Try to avoid ever saying sorry about that on the radio. Just not a good idea. It's okay to make a little mistake, but you got to stay heads up and pay attention. Now here comes the next part here.
Delta 319 Heavy, RNAV to C Park, runway 27 right, clear for takeoff. RNAV to C Park, cleared for takeoff, runway 27 right, Delta 319 Heavy.
So you can tell she's trying to be extra careful due to her previous faux pas on the radio, which is good. Her communication was now very clear. I'll go over, since we have just a second here, I'll go over who's in that Airbus A319. That's a Delta flight going Atlanta to LA. Most likely a male captain, a female FO. She is in the right seat taking care of communications on the ground up until the point where it becomes airborne. Now in this particular case, I'm guessing that this is going to be her leg. She's going to fly this thing Atlanta to LA. So the captain is now maneuvering the airplane into position and hold. And they've already been given a takeoff clearance. Right about here, they're going to transfer controls. And she'll say, I have the aircraft, and he'll say, you have the aircraft. They've swapped that, and now he has the radios. So you'll hear after takeoff, it's going to be his voice as Delta 319 checking in after departure. Now, here comes the instructions for Southwest, who is sitting here waiting patiently, and we're going to take a look at the clock on this thing. Here comes Southwest, still wanting on the runway.
Southwest 1982 Atlanta Tower, runway 27 right, Lima Charlie, line up and wait, caution wait turbulence, previous departure, heavy Airbus, additional traffic will be downfield.
Line up, wait 27 right, Lima Charlie, Southwest 1982.
Take a look at how dark the Southwest airplane is from behind. They're very difficult to see. Now, Southwest has an orange tail, and they do have a logo light up there.
Flight 22 Atlanta Tower, traffic holds at Delta, cross runway 27 right, hold short of runway 27 left at November 10.
That's a hold short.
Delta, crossing 27 right, hold short of 27 left at November 10. Talk 22.
Delta 2930, traffic holds at November 5, cross runway 27 right, join Mike, ground point 75.
Delta 2930, cross runway 27 right, and November 5, join Mike, ground point 75, good day.
Delta 1919 at Tango, cross runway 27 right, join Lima, ground point 75, traffic holds.
Cross 27 right at Tango, join Lima, Delta 1919.
Hold short instructions are both required, and a readback is required at all international, national ICAO stations. That's what never happened in Japan. There was no hold short instruction or readback.
Delta 1323, traffic holds at November 5, cross runway 27 right, join Mike, ground point 75.
Now look at the amount of time that this Southwest is sitting in position. They are line up and wait in the danger zone.
Delta 319 Heavy, connect departure.
Delta 319 Heavy, departure. Good night.
That's our LA crew.
Tug 22, monitor tower 12, or correction, 119.3.
19.3, Tug 22.
So the Delta 319 Heavy is going to LA. They're positive rate gear up, doing an after takeoff checklist. She's flying the airplane. He's on the radio, and they check in with departure. Meanwhile, Southwest is still sitting, line up and wait. Look at the clock on this thing. This clock is ticking, and here comes their brother, another Southwest out here, and he's going to want the runway also.
Southwest 1982, RNAV to football, runway 27 right, clear for takeoff.
27 right, clear for takeoff, RNAV football, Southwest 1972.
Southwest 1588, Atlanta Tower, runway 27 right, Lima Charlie, line up and wait. Departure frequency will be 133.47.
3347 on departure, and 27 right, Lima Charlie, line up and wait, Delta 1588.
So that's line up and wait. I'm going to show you another one here. This is on a different runway, same night. This was last night. I went to Hartsfield and shot a little bit of video and superimposed the ATC tapes. This is on the North Complex now. This is runway 26 left, another Southwest airplane. Look at the amount of time that he goes out here and sits on the runway. This is another line up and wait. However, Atlanta is not running single runway operations. They have a runway for landing and a runway for taking off. So this guy is on his taking off runway. He could only be in danger if an airplane happens to line up on the wrong runway while he's sitting there. The point is to minimize the amount of time that you're in danger sitting out there on the runway. Line up and wait is not terribly bad at airports like Atlanta, where you've got plenty of eyes on the runway and you've got two runways, one for takeoff and one for landing. So here goes Southwest. Look at the total amount of time that he went through, that he was sitting out there on that runway. Now the next scene that I want to show you here is one that will clearly exemplify this lights thing. Look at this airplane holding short. This is a Delta jet holding short of 26 left. He's already landed 26 right. There's another departure off of 26 left. He is holding short of 26 left because he's just landed. Meanwhile, another airplane is now line up and wait, and he's going to sit there, but he's got all his lights on. The Delta airplane now brings on his lights. Look at all those lights come on, and then he starts to roll. Now, as he rolls, both airplanes have lights on. My problem with this is that both airplanes were in motion at the same time. The Delta lining up and waiting was in motion coming around the corner when the airplane downfield was also in motion. We should make sure that that airplane is stopped before we give the clearance to cross. Now, once you take a look at the lights here on this airplane, this is the same airplane here, and watch these lights come on. I'm going to give them to you in order here. They're dark until they get clearance to cross. Here comes the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4. They only run their lights at certain times. It's lights off. They're completely dark at night most of the time. Now, once they get clear of the runway, this is really interesting. Watch this airplane get clear of the runway. As soon as he's clear, watch how dark this airplane goes. Here comes the lights. They're all going off. He's going dark. Now you're on a dark foreground, a dark background, and a dark airplane. This airplane becomes very difficult to see. The only reason you can see it right now is because the terminal in the background. Now the next one is another incident that occurred last night that I caught on tape. This is an airplane coming in from Belize.
He is with you for the
She checks in.
1980 Atlanta Tower. Let's go for runway 28. Runway 28. Caution wake turbulence spotting the heavy Airbus 350. Wind 2706. Cleared land.
Clear land 28. Sorry about that. I forgot where I was. For Delta's 1980. Clear land 28.
She's in an airliner coming into the world's busiest airport, lined up for the world's busiest runway, and she forgot where she was. She initially lined up on the wrong runway. The controller had to come back and say, no, you're going to 28. And then once again, she apologizes, says, oh, I'm sorry.
Clear land 28. Sorry about that. I forgot where I was. For Delta's 1980. Clear land 28.
If you make a mistake, just acknowledge the correction and go on. Try to avoid saying, I'm sorry. And I want to take a look at these lights here. this clear to land, once they say clear to land, this is another light trick that airliners do. They don't turn on their lights until they get clear to land. Take a look at this light as relative to when he says clear to land. That's when they bring their lights on. Here he goes. He's going to say clear to land, and the lights are going to come on.
Delta 1980 Atlanta Tower, let's go for runway 28. Runway 28, caution wing turbulence spotting the heavy Airbus 350, wind 2706, cleared land.
Clear land 28, sorry about that, I forgot where I was. The Fort Delta says 1980, clear land 28.
So everybody wants to blame that Dash-8 guy. The ATC guy never saw him go out there. He didn't have any lights on. There's no ADS-B. He never told him to hold short, and he never received a Roger, we'll hold short readback. The whole lineup and wait thing, non-standard phraseology, non-standard lighting, non-standard airport, non-standard political system, and non-standard budget over here going on in Japan. Non-standard phraseology. Think about this. The pilots at these airports involved in this were all Japanese. They're all speaking language. Their primary language is Japanese, but they're being forced to speak English. The tower guy, the Airbus 350 guy, and the Dash-8 guy are all speaking English, and none of the three of them combined are any good at it. There's obvious communication problems and communications errors going on here. I got some recommendations. I have some strong recommendations. Boy, I can tell you, if I was FAA, I wouldn't waste a heartbeat implementing these things for right now. Our next Tenerife in America is going to be caused by a distraction in the control tower. No doubt. Our next Tenerife in America is going to be caused by ATC distraction in the control tower. Immediately, cell phones no longer allowed in tower cabs or radar or center frequency. You check your cell phone and your iPad and put it in your locker outside. Don't bring it into the workplace. You guys on the job, you need to wear a uniform, a polo shirt. You need to be professional. You need to be on time. You guys running these facilities out here, no visitors. You can't be conducting tours and having visitors to these facilities all day long. No distracting things. No radios, boom boxes, CD players, those things on the job while you're controlling airplanes. None of these distracting things. You can't do it. Reasonable amounts of time, you got to give everybody a break, but no distractions. You can't sit a guy down with his iPhone and expect him to control 747s out there. You're going to have an accident. I can tell you, the next Tenerife is going to happen in America. It's going to be caused by an inexperienced air traffic control guy that put two airplanes together because he was distracted, not paying attention to what he was supposed to be paying attention to. I hope I've made that clear, and I hope you can tell I'm pretty fired up about it. It's going to happen. Without a doubt, we have too much inexperience in our pilots, too much inexperience in our ATC. There's too much inexperience all going around. We should go to emergency rations right now and clean this thing up and snap to attention before we get bit, because if we don't, we're going to get bit. I'm telling you, the next Tenerife in America is going to happen. It's going to be because of ATC distraction. Could be flight crew distraction as well. Same thing in the cockpits. Put your phones away. I think phones and iPads, non-essential phones and iPads, ought to be left with the flight attendant in the first class galley, effective immediately. You don't need that up there because you're going to be playing on your phone and not paying attention. This airplane that taxied out of Atlanta last night with in motion, the Airbus A350 taxiing when nobody could talk to it, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, why? How can that possibly be? But anyway, my recommendations for flight attendants, you need to know when it's time to go. When it's time to evacuate that airplane, if you can't reach the cabin, the cockpit crew, and you don't know, and you see fire and you see smoke, you've got to spring into action. That's part of your policy. I know that's not in the Japan culture. They won't do that without talking to the cockpit crew. But to save your life, you got to do it. Now, you passengers in America, here's my best advice for you. If you're a passenger, know where the exits are, know how to operate it. I guarantee you, 99% of you could never open a door or a window to save your life. You couldn't do it. You see that little plastic briefing card? You've never looked at it. You've never looked at the window. You've never asked a question. You cannot spring into action on your own and open something without being pretty sure that you actually have to. Sometimes in the summertime, you get some vaporization and cooling and some condensation. That's not smoke. Don't evacuate for that. If there's actual flame and fire and you smell toxic smoke and you're on fire, you better be looking around for a way to open that door. You better know how to open the door. Most of you could not open the door on an airliner to save your life. You look at that thing. It's got a lot of handles, tags, switches, buttons, and coding and stuff. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle. You would never figure it out in time. Take the time. Next time you get on the airplane, ask a question. How does this work? How could I get out if I had to? If the flight attendants were dead and everybody was around me dead, how could I open this door? What do I twist? You need to know that, and you're entitled to know how to do that. If everybody is dead, if the flight attendants won't let you evacuate that airplane and it's totally on fire, I think last case resort, I think you ought to pop a door handle and know how to do it and get outside the airplane. You know, a lot of you wrote to me and wanted a hat. I sent out a lot of hats. I'm going to put a couple of the pictures of people wearing their hats on this video, maybe also at the end or something like that. But I appreciate you buying a hat or supporting me with the hat. I had a lot of people want a hat. I'm not a retailer. I got most of them out. If you still did not get your hat, please send me an email. I'm not a retailer. I'm not very good at that stuff. I think I got 99% of them out there. But if I owe you a hat, please send me an email or call me. I want to make it right with you. A lot of you wrote in and didn't have money for a hat, but wanted one anyway. I sent a lot of hats out, and that's due to the generosity of some of the rest of you who overpaid for hats. Some of you gave more than was required for a hat, and I appreciate that. It all came out in the wash. I didn't make any money, but I didn't lose any money, and a lot of you got hats, and that's the Christmas thing. We're only going to do that once every year at Christmas, I think, because I personally packaged and hand-wrote every single thing on there for all of those hats that went out. Send me a picture of you with your hat, pointing to your hat like that. If you can, that'd be great. I'm going to start a little collection of those. I don't know how many I've sent out, but it was a lot. The hats are very reasonably priced, and for those of you who want it signed for whatever reason, I signed them, and I think it's all good, and I appreciate that. You know, in 2023, we did a whole bunch of ride-along videos. I did 11. I still got one more ride-along video we're going to do. I'm teaching Dylan to fly. I want you to see what I'm doing to him. Yes, it's abusive. I'm being extremely hard on him, but boy, I'm making him tough as nails. If you want to see how I'm bulletproofing Dylan, you can use that. It's all for free, and I appreciate you watching that. We still got one more ride-along video. I tried to get 12 done before the end of the year, and I got 11 of them done, but I didn't get the 12th one done. I got a fresh set of ride-along videos in conception form right now for 2024 going forward, and those are all free. My idea here is that all this content should be free. Those ride-along videos stay up. I'm not taking them down. I think all that content ought to be free on YouTube for anybody that wants to use it, enjoy it, and learn from it. It's totally good. Dylan is out flying around. He's a student pilot. He has no ADS-B in. He's got no iPad. He's got no magenta line. He's got no glass cockpit. He's got no autopilot. He's out flying around cross-country as a student pilot, going all over the place. He's totally fine. He's got a sleeping bag and a jug of water. I send him out on the road for 3 or 4 days at a time, and he's doing totally fine. He is learning cross-country pilotage and dead reckoning. Boy, I tell you what, if there was anybody that ever at this point was an expert on E6B and sectional charts, Dylan's got it down to a science, and he can plan that out. He knows about magnetic variation and wind correction, and he knows about all those things. He can fly a complete 300 nautical mile cross-country with no magenta line and hit his airport. How you like that? I think that's a good challenge for some of you. You don't have to have that magenta line. Suck it up a little bit and go without the magenta line and look out the window and pay attention to what you're doing. Fly the traffic pattern, know what you're doing in the traffic pattern, and fly appropriately. It's going to help you stay alive. I got one really good video I'm going to put at the end of this thing. It's an interview with a 22-year-old kid. I was kind of a little bit hard on him, and I almost feel bad about that, but he's a good kid, and he took the abuse very well. Great family, great kid, Kendrick. And Kendrick, I appreciate you succumbing to my interview and all that kind of stuff. But this has to do with the topic of night flying. I'm not really a fan of general aviation single-engine night flying. Can be done, and I know it's required by FAA in some instances, and on occasion, you need to know how to do some night flying. But I want you to watch this interview. I'm going to put it at the end here about night flying, and maybe you can learn a little bit about that. Now, on a success basis, we've had 3 airplanes in the last 30 days elect to land in a field with a known problem and not to try to make it to the airport. I'm going to show the video clip of all 3 of those right now, back to back. 3 absolute success stories that elected to land in a perfectly suitable field near them instead of trying to make it to an airport. This is a hallelujah moment. I hope we have more and more of these.
Sky 7 shows you the plane landed straight up. I talked to the passenger in the plane, Joseph Robinson, and he told me about halfway to Cincinnati, they noticed their engine had lost power. Air traffic control was trying to direct them to an airport that is about a mile away from where it landed. The pilot, Curtis Walt, decided this field was the safest option.
It was approaching the Davenport Municipal Airport for landing when the pilot reported mechanical problems, opting to land the plane in the field. 2 people were aboard the plane and no injuries were apparent to emergency response teams, and both individuals declined treatment.
We're told an instructor and a student from a Sparta area flight school were practicing flying when the plane had some engine trouble and were forced to land in the field. Opting to land the plane in the field.
The pilot, Curtis Walt, decided this field was the safest option.
So there's our goal for 2024. I sure hope we can make it. You know, my biggest disappointment probably of 2023 is how much AOPA is fighting AQP, how much they're fighting the reduction of the general aviation fatal accident rate. I got this text. I'm going to put it up on the screen. This is from somebody who wrote to Mark Baker and texted him, who was friends with Mark Baker, and asked about AQP for general aviation. And this was Mark Baker's response. I'm putting it on the screen right now. I think it's completely disgusting. Mark Baker thinks that AQP is only for the airlines. AQP is a philosophy. It says that we want you to be ready for the surprise things that are going to happen to you in your airplane. Without a doubt, it's going to happen to you. I want you to be ready. Know what to do. Have it rehearsed and be ready to go, and you'll be totally alive. Let's take a look at the December data. I'm putting it up on the screen here. I've already showed it to you once here, but here's the rest of the stuff here. We're going to sort through the December data, starting with the number 171. That's the 36 Bonanza in Georgia. That's engine failure. Howard Joe, age 60, tried to make it to a piece of ground, and he crashed his airplane. He was the only one on board. The next one we're going to talk about is this SR-22 in Texas. I sent Dylan out there. He actually went to the crash site. You notice I got on here that says night VFR is IFR. That's because in some cases you can't see, and this guy tried to land at this airport. It was very dark. The runway did not have proper lighting on it. He was a new resident there. He tried to come in here. Here's a picture of the crash site. Dylan actually made it to there and figured out the approach path and all that kind of stuff. Very unfortunate SR-22 crash. No chance to use the parachute. He simply flew it into the trees on the approach to this thing because he didn't know where he was at. He was at night. We're going to talk a little bit more about night in just a second. Let's go on to the next one. This is number 575 Tango Bravo. This is the turbine helicopter in Florida, Clement Zanturi, age 71. I don't know much about helicopters, but they say that this tail rotor mast operation thing did not make it to the crash site. It blew the tail rotor off this thing. The only way you can do that really is by the main rotor hitting this thing. It's a mass bump. I think you either positive G or negative G the helicopter to make it happen, and that's what happened in that. Spatial disorientation tonight was caused with the next one. This is number 4209 Whiskey. This happened up in Pennsylvania. John Burley, age 59. And, you know, this is another night accident here. John Burley, great guy, owned a very nice company, and everybody... He was just a well-liked, well-respected, long-time pilot up in Pennsylvania. Flying his airplane. Don't know if he had a pedostatic problem, an electrical problem, a vacuum problem, or if he just got discombobulated. We just don't know. Probably won't ever know. But he flew it into the train. Definitely was not drugs, alcohol, or suicide. None of those things. He did not intend for that to happen. Being out there at night like this, I want you to stick around for the end of this interview. I want you to think about flying night in 2024 when you don't have to. That's coming up at the end. Now, the last one is the North Carolina one. This happened New Year's Eve day in North Carolina, and I sent Dylan out to this one. He went and looked at it. I got a little bit of drone footage from over the top of this thing so you can see exactly where it was. He almost made it back to the airport. I'm not sure where his engine failure occurred at, but the prop was not making power when it came to the trees. He had water all around him, just like the G36 crash at Lake Lanier a few weeks before that. He had water everywhere. He could have gone gear up in the water and he'd be alive today, but he elected to try to put it into this neighborhood. Doesn't work. You can't do it. Take the easy out. Take the sure shot. Just like those 3 that I already showed the video of. Those 3 people took the sure shot so they could go home and have dinner. Doesn't really matter if you ding up the airplane. Insurance is glad to pay for that. They don't want to write off a complete hull and multi-million loss and a life insurance policy for something dumb like this. The answer is so easy. Take the easy answer. Take the sure shot. And here's drone footage from over the top. You can see where this thing was and where it ended up at. I hope you'll support my efforts here. These videos take a tremendous amount of time and effort to get to. I put a lot of work into building these things. I collect the data all week long and kind of think about what we're going to do on Sunday night, and I hope that they're entertaining and educational. I want you to be educated. I want you to stay alive in your little airplane. That's the whole thing with this thing, staying alive. I want you to stay alive in 2024. Here's some ways that you can support me where it doesn't hurt you. It's completely electronic, it's free, and it's safe. You don't have to do any membership or anything like that. Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. 100% of every $1 that you feed my way goes directly to me. I got a lot of expenses, a lot of travel. I'm doing a tremendous amount of travel in 2024, a lot of speaking engagements and going to some of these rec sites and things like that to try to keep you informed. I'm not going to sit in this office behind a desk and read off of a report. I'm going to go to these places and figure it out and tell you what you need to know. I'm most upset about this Japan thing, as you can tell. I don't get much fired up about the 121 stuff, but this Tenerife thing that's coming to America, it's going to be big. I expect in the next several years we'll probably have several of these. It's all due to distractions, unqualified people, new people, things that shouldn't be going on, bad policies, lack of policy, lack of procedures. All the things that we should be cleaning up today are not being cleaned up, and it's going to bite us. And when it does, I'm going to tell you, I told you so, and that's what it is. Here's the video interview with Kendrick. I'm going to leave that with you here, and we'll do a little closeout after that. Sorry this one drug on so long, but this is a great interview with Kendrick concerning night flying. So here you go. Good afternoon, Kendrick. I guess you're out traveling today.
Yeah, I'm sitting in Charlotte Airport at the moment.
Cool.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Hey, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Good to be here.
Well, I appreciate you taking just a minute. You're a cool kid. I'm not sure about your haircut, but we won't go there for now. I got a lot I could pick on you on, but I don't know what the deal is with you guys' haircuts, but whatever. Let's talk about airplanes.
Well, it's actually due for one. It's kind of long right now. So
yes, it is. You're coming back from Florida. You went down there to look at your Bonanza?
That's correct. Yeah, we're getting an avionics overhaul done down at Sarasota Avionics. So I went down there to check that out and see how the progress is coming along.
Good. Well, you're being played on my YouTube channel as a special little segment, so we're gonna make it really quick so people don't get bored with you or me. We're gonna talk real quick. You and I have had a lot of debates lately about night flying, and we're gonna talk about that briefly. My job is to influence you. They say that I'm an influencer. I'm not really an influencer. I have a YouTube channel, but I like to try to influence people like you, and it's mostly because, in your case, it's because of your family. Tell me about your family.
Yeah, so I am the oldest of 5 kids in my family, my mom and my dad. I still live at home. I work in our family business, and you know, we live very, very close to home and very tight-knit family. So that's a little bit about me. We fly a Bonanza A36. We're pretty new to flying. Only been in it about a year and a half. My dad and my brother and I all got our license same year, 2021. So really excited to be doing it. It's a lot of fun.
It is great. I've seen a picture of your family. You talk about a textbook American hardworking family. You guys got some kind of a business. You're building garages or doors or hangars, or what do you guys build?
Well, so we don't build anything. We're in construction maintenance, anything from residential, commercial. Do a lot of maintenance and remodel type stuff. We have a garage door business. We do hangar doors, residential doors, commercial, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, and that's kind of your dad's brainchild, and he's roped you 2 kids into working probably slave labor, probably ain't even paying you, feeding you potatoes at home and letting you fly airplanes, but you guys are running that business and doing a great job. So in the family, there's, let's see, that means there's 7 of you total?
That's correct, yep, 7 total.
And 3 of you are pilots flying airplanes.
Yeah, so me and my next youngest brother, and my dad, we all fly, and then the family hops along whenever they can make it.
Perfect. So that's 3 private pilot check rides that you've gone through in your family in the last couple of years. Is that true?
Yeah, that's correct. December 2021, we all got done, and now we're almost done with my instrument. My dad just finished, and my brother and I are right behind him. So,
Perfect. Well, the thing I wanted to try to influence you about is, you guys are rare. It's a great family. You're working hard. You're doing free enterprise. You're flying your airplanes. This is America, and all that's good. The thing about night flying, did you know that in Canada, night VFR is not even legal, and there's a reason for that. Were you aware of the difference between Canada and U.S. on that?
yeah, you informed me the other day. I don't know if you remember, but we talked about this a little bit.
Yes, yes. And now I want to talk about your private pilot check ride. You took a private pilot check ride. In it, you had both an oral and maneuvers. Remember that? You sat down and he asked you a bunch of questions before you went out to fly. The oral did not have anything to do with night flying. They may have talked about hazards of night flying or something, but when you get down to the maneuvers section is all the things that have to be completed on a private pilot check ride, like S turns across the road, steep turns, all that stuff has to be done. Those are your maneuvers. Are you aware that there is a maneuver in the private pilot check ride, number 11, section 11, for night flying?
Well, no, we didn't go over any of that. We obviously did it during the day, so I think we talked about it a little bit. It's hard to remember, but we didn't do any maneuvers at night for sure.
Yeah, you won't find an examiner that'll fly with you at night, but in the ACS for private pilot, it's got a section on emergency procedures. I'm going to read it to you. You can't see it on your screen, but I'll read it. Here's what it says. It says under emergencies, it says select a suitable landing area considering altitude, wind, terrain, obstructions, and available glide distance. Plan and follow a flight path to the selected landing area considering altitude, wind, terrain, obstructions. So you did that, but you did it during the day with your examiner, didn't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
Absolutely. So everything's good. You got your training during the day. You got your oral during the day. You took your check ride down during the day. But you knuckleheads want to go out and you want to fly at night. So your first power off landing at night will be without education, without training, without a check ride, and you skipped number 11 on your private pilot check ride, your examiner. There's no examiner in the world that's ever going to go check you on maneuver number 11 night, but it's actually in there in the maneuver section. Your very first one is going to be an experiment, and they want you to select a suitable landing field at night. Now, you tell me, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've talked a lot about. It's a pretty difficult thing. You try to make it where you have a moonlit night, or you fly along a road, or what have you. I don't know how I would deal with it. If it really happened, I don't really know how it would go. Probably not very very well. You always think you can probably kind of full stall it into the tops of some trees, or put it in a river or a lake or something. But when I start thinking of my options, if it was really dark, I don't even know where. I don't even know how I'd go about finding any one of those, even if they were suitable.
That's the problem. And I don't want people to think that I'm absolutely opposed to night flying. I think night flying is great. My whole point here is decision making. So you guys, an operation of your business, and you're flying your friends around, your choices on where you go and when you go. Could you use better planning? Could you alter things around just slightly so that you actually get back on the ground before dark without too much inconvenience?
Yeah, I mean, there's always seems like most flights are a little bit you know, pretty flexible, really. When you're making your own schedule, you can pretty much, if you do it out far enough, you can kind of set your times. So yeah, I would say that's a fair thing to say. You could probably do that, but it's always one of those things you get down to, and it's like, well, it's about a 2 hour flight home, and
Right.
I could quick make the flight. Everything's running good. With the flight up was great. Weather's good. So yeah, it's something that it's a big human factors decision. It's hard to really grapple with.
It is, and all I'm saying is obviously you're legal for night flight. Wherever you can, consider how important it is for each one of the three of you and your family to stay alive in your little airplane. You have an engine failure at night out there over Missouri, where you're from. I don't know about your odds. You might make it, but most likely not. Most of your night engine failures end up fatal. They fly into something that they simply could not see. And I guess my final question has to do with your family and your business and your structure. What would it look like if you lost your dad? out of this thing, what would that do to your family, the operation of the business, the family dynamic? Your dad is the centerpiece of running this thing. What would that do to your family to suddenly take your dad out of the equation in a night fatal?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we never want to lose anybody, but it would obviously put all things in the lurch. It'd be a huge deal. My dad, and I'm 22, so I'm still pretty young by most standards. So it would be a complete life altering thing that we and a lot of other people that we have in our life that are willing to speak in. We have some of those things, that the conversations that have been going on, that I think are very valuable, and hopefully we can mitigate that. And we've been not flying very much at night lately. In the last 6 months, we've really come to a lot, maybe more clear understanding of what the risks are.
Right.
It's not due really to any of our own smarts. It's just trying to be smart and safe as we can.
Yeah, and I'm hoping other people, there's 1,000 other pilots and families just like yours that have a lot on the line here. You can fly at night, and I know you guys are good. You're good pilots. You're very sharp. You're well-maintained aircraft. But I would just try to influence you to think about it wherever possible. Go to the hotel. Start this thing tomorrow morning. No examiners give check rides at night. I don't fly single engine at night. I don't let Dylan fly single engine at night. We got to do a little bit of that for stuff, but I absolutely minimize it wherever possible, and that's my theme here, is to think about it. Nothing good ever happens after midnight, is what my dad always said. And in a single engine airplane, I can't tell you how many problems I've had. Every one of them have been significant at night. I'm limited on what I can do at night, and I know I'll take a beating for people thinking that I'm absolutely opposed to night flying at single engine. I'm not. I'm just saying there's a choice out there, and wherever you guys can be more creative and think about better ways to do this during the day where you don't put yourself at risk is what I'm advocating for.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's obvious no flight is worth a life. I mean, I can't think of any situation where it's worth your life necessarily, like in what we do in normal daily operations. So, it's obviously, it's just not something we want to go there. And so it's something that it's easy to say we're going to do well, and then all of a sudden you make a trip and the thing comes up. So,
Yeah.
it's all about thinking ahead and doing the due diligence before you get your emotions involved.
Yeah, exactly. But well, I want to wish you Happy New Year, and I very much appreciate you stopping in. I don't mean to beat you hard on this. Your family is important, just like all the rest of these families out here. I think if nothing else, it's the start of some conversations. You guys do what's best for you, but I would hope that a video like this and an interview like this would cause more people to have that conversation. Let's talk through what is important here. Let's talk through downloading some of these unnecessary risks. And single engine night is dicey, no matter how you slice it. And Murphy's Law says whatever can happen will happen at the worst possible time, and it's going to happen to you. I don't want to be out there in that, and I don't want you guys out there in that if you don't absolutely have to be.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your concern, and thanks for your time with the interview. I think it's be a very interesting conversation starter for a lot bigger conversation across the nation. We're losing quite a few people at night, really, and that's not really necessary.
Yeah, exactly. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it. I trust that you'll get back to Missouri and find yourself a barber ASAP, because that is whatever you got. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I missed my appointment yesterday, so hopefully I can sneak in on the first of the week. So,
all right, sounds good, Kendrick. Thanks for visiting, brother.
Yeah, you bet. Have a good weekend.
You too. See ya.
You bet.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I want you to think about night flying. Yes, you can. think about your options and what you could do to stay at a hotel or get a nice dinner and go out tomorrow morning instead. Do something. Try to avoid the night flying where you don't have any options. You night dead stick this thing into the terrain, it's probably not going to work out. You're going to end up on my sheet. Single engine at night, all I can tell you is I don't do it. Dylan doesn't do it. We don't fly at night single engine unless we just absolutely, unless we're getting shot at, which does happen on occasion. But we try not to do that, and I hope that you won't either. I appreciate your support, and we'll look for you again next Sunday night for my tiny little itty bitty fledgling YouTube channel. Dan Grider, Probable Cause.